centuries before the United States drew its first breath, before Jefferson wrote a single word about liberty, an ancient supernation was already practicing it. A political system so sophisticated, so balanced, so shockingly modern, that Benjamin Franklin once sat down and said, "We should copy this." Yet today, most people have no idea it even existed. This is the forgotten story of the Iroquois Confederacy, the indigenous mega-alliance whose democracy may have inspired America itself. Long before Europeans arrived, long before borders carved up the continent, this vast landscape was home to 6 powerful nations: the Mohawk, the Oneida, the Onondaga, the Cayuga, the Seneca, and later, the Tuscarora. Together, they formed what they called Haudenosaunee, the people of the Longhouse. But these were not small tribes scattered in the woods. They were nations with armies, economies, diplomats, philosophers, and an oral constitution older than most European monarchies. And at the heart of it all, a man many people today have never heard of, the Great Peacemaker, a mysterious prophet who appeared during a time of endless brutal warfare and proposed the unimaginable. Let us end the fighting. Let us unite, not as enemies, but as brothers. This was the spark that would ignite one of the world's longest-lasting democracies. How the Confederacy became a supernation. Before the Confederacy, the region was trapped in chaos. Blood feuds, revenge killings, and power struggles made stability impossible. Every nation lived in fear of raids from every other. The Great Peacemaker, joined by the orator Hiawatha, traveled from nation to nation spreading a radical blueprint, a political vision based on peace, unity, and shared decision-making. At first, no one believed him. But as the wars dragged on, the idea of a grand alliance became irresistible. One by one, the nations agreed. When the Mohawk joined, balance began. When the Oneida joined, momentum grew. When the Onondaga joined, bringing with them the legendary chief Tododaho, a fearsome leader said to be twisted by rage, the political puzzle snapped together. Each nation kept its independence. Each kept its land, culture, and identity. But together, they formed a supernation. The Peacemaker planted a symbolic tree of peace, its roots stretching in all 4 directions. Beneath it, the nations buried their weapons. And just like that, the endless cycle of violence was replaced with something almost unheard of in the ancient world: a permanent, structured, multi-nation democracy. What made it unique? During its golden age, the Iroquois Confederacy became the most politically advanced indigenous government in North America, and possibly one of the most advanced anywhere at the time. The Great Law of Peace. Their constitution, older than the Magna Carta, laid out a bicameral legislature, checks and balances, impeachment procedures, rules for declaring war, rights of individuals, political roles for women. Yes, women had immense power. Clan mothers chose the chiefs. If a chief failed, they removed him. Imagine that in medieval Europe. Consensus democracy. Unlike modern majority vote systems, the Confederacy operated through consensus, meaning all nations had to agree. This required advanced diplomacy, patience, and negotiation, skills that made the Haudenosaunee respected and feared across the continent. See trade and expansion. Their network stretched far. Furs, agriculture, especially the Three Sisters, corn, beans, squash, political alliances, control of key waterways. At its height, the Confederacy influenced regions far beyond its borders, from the Great Lakes to the Atlantic. Military strength. Even though the Confederacy preached peace within, they were formidable in war outside. Their warriors were disciplined, strategic, highly mobile, expert at forest warfare. European colonists quickly realized, you don't survive in North America without the favor, or neutrality, of the Iroquois Confederacy. This is why British, French, and later American leaders courted them constantly. But with new relationships came new conflicts, and new mysteries. The tension that holds the story. When Europeans arrived in the 1600s, everything changed. New weapons, new diseases, new political games. Suddenly, the Confederacy found itself at the center of a geopolitical chessboard between 2 superpowers, France and Britain. Each empire sought the Confederacy's loyalty. Each offered guns, trade, and promises. Each spread rumors, manipulations, and pressure. The Haudenosaunee became diplomats of the highest order, balancing foreign powers while trying to preserve their autonomy. But there is one historical debate that remains a mystery even today. Did the Iroquois Confederacy inspire American democracy? Some historians say yes, pointing to Benjamin Franklin's documented admiration, colonial leaders attending Haudenosaunee councils, the Albany Plan of Union mirroring the Confederacy's federal structure. Others argue the founders ignored Indigenous contributions. This debate still sparks fire in academic circles, and the truth might be more complex than either side admits. But as the 1700s progressed, one thing became painfully clear. The Confederacy was entering its most dangerous era. For centuries, the Iroquois Confederacy balanced peace within and power without. But the world was changing, faster than anyone could have imagined. The tipping point came with a war not of their making. A war between two foreign empires fighting over land that wasn't theirs. The American Revolution. For the Haudenosaunee, it was a nightmare scenario. Their great law of peace demanded unity. Their political system depended on consensus. But this new war divided them in ways nothing had before. Some nations, like the Mohawk under Joseph Brant, sided with the British, believing the Crown would protect their land. Others, like the Oneida, sided with the American revolutionaries, hoping a new nation would respect their sovereignty. For the first time in centuries, the Confederacy split. Blood relatives fought on opposite sides. Councils fractured. Villages burned. This was not just a war on the land. It was a war on the Haudenosaunee identity. And when the Americans won, their victory unleashed a devastating wave of destruction on the Confederacy. Led by General Sullivan in 1779, American forces marched across Iroquois territory with one mission: destroy everything. Longhouses were burned. Crops were razed. Families starved through brutal winters. Entire communities fled north to Canada, never to return. The Confederacy did not vanish, but its power was shattered. The tree of peace still stood, but its branches had been scorched by a new world order. And as the United States expanded, treaty after treaty chipped away at Haudenosaunee land, until the once mighty supernation was forced into fragments of its ancestral territory. The fall wasn't sudden. It wasn't a single battle. It was the slow, grinding weight of a rising empire, pressing down on an older one, the hidden blueprint for modern democracy. And yet, the story doesn't end in ashes. Because the impact of the Iroquois Confederacy stretches far beyond the fall of its political power. It echoes in the way billions of people live today. An influence on the Founding Fathers. Historical records show Benjamin Franklin attended Iroquois councils. He studied their methods. He wrote admiringly about their ability to unify 6 nations while keeping local autonomy. He asked a cutting question that still resonates. If 6 nations of ignorant savages have formed a union, shall we think it impossible for 13 colonies to unite? Jefferson, too, referenced indigenous governance in his writings, and the U.S. Constitution's ideas of federalism, representative councils, and checks on centralized power mirror the great law of peace in striking ways. The founders didn't invent everything. Some of their best ideas were already thriving on this continent. Be women's political power, long before Western nations allowed women to vote. The Haudenosaunee let women choose leaders, remove leaders, and control lineage and property. Early suffragists like Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Matilda Jocelyn Gage explicitly said, "We want what Haudenosaunee women already have." See human rights and diplomacy. Their model of consensus, nonviolent conflict resolution, and internation unity has inspired the United Nations, modern conflict resolution theories, indigenous rights movements around the world, survival against all odds. And perhaps the greatest legacy of all, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy still exists. It is one of the oldest continuous democracies on Earth. Its councils still meet. Its great law is still recited. Its people still protect their sovereignty. A supernation reduced in territory, but never erased in spirit. Long before America drafted its constitution. Long before Europe brought its political theories across the Atlantic. A League of Nations in the northeastern woodlands built something extraordinary. A government of balance. A democracy of consensus. A peace that lasted centuries. The Iroquois Confederacy was not just a political alliance. It was a blueprint for a better world. A world where nations cooperate instead of conquer. Where women hold power instead of being silenced. Where unity is strength, but individuality is honored. And though history may try to bury it, though textbooks may reduce it to a footnote, the truth remains. America did not invent democracy on this soil. It inherited it. This is the legacy of the ancient supernation that shaped a modern one. This is the story of the Haudenosaunee. Dude Historian. Where hidden history becomes unforgettable.